Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Rogue Trader with me, Reverend. Let's go talk to Hieronymus Doloroso. The man with the face so drawn it appears to be made of nothing but skin and bone fixes his unblinking, bird-like eyes on you. The pretty simple black clothes have next to no adornments, and they do nothing to mask his unhealthy gauntness. In a cracked voice he says, "The Emperor protects." Who are you? I'm Reverend Hieronymus Doloroso, as I'm called. Head of the Drusian mission and possibly the last hope for the wayward souls that inhabit this fringe forsaken by our master. Bow your head and say nothing. His gaze bores into you, as if he is trying to penetrate your thoughts. And you must be the young Von Valancius. That name carries weight, and it is a burdensome one, for its reputation suggests that Theodora encumbered it with many a transgression. I wonder, will you seek to shed them, or will you carry them onward, picking them along the way like ripe fruit, and savoring their sweet poison? You're saying Theodora was a transgressor. Woman of great gifts, but few considered virtue to be one of them. People whispered that power had corrupted her, made her believe that she was entitled to anything she wanted. It is known that she showed cordiality to Xenos, broke taboos, and violated dogmas. Then again, so do nearly all rogue traders. Rogue traders are the Emperor's anointed. I act at his command, as evidenced by a signature on my warrant. And did he grant it to you personally? The Emperor has entrusted his servants with the future of humanity, but people are too weak and flawed to prove themselves worthy of his trust. Only suffering can cleanse us. We fear it, and thus remain sullied. I do not wish to enter into a debate with you. A predictable response. He looks at Argenta, who's standing nearby, and his voice softens slightly. Greetings, sister. I congratulate you on your return. Was your pilgrimage fruitful? It was, Reverend. Let it be known to you that Theodora von Valancius' ship was attacked by servants of the archenemy, who appall the heart of any righteous soul. She says, nearly hissing with fury. And not all of them met a fitting end. Some fled, and more than that, their blasphemous words clearly pointed to this attack being part of a larger design. Reverend Hieronymus, I wish to join the esteemed rogue trader's crew and help protect the von Valancius dynasty from the forces of the archenemy. I'm divesting myself of the responsibility of guarding the Footfall Reliquary. Sister Argenta stood by my side during the assault on the ship. I could use her assistance going forward. Hieronymus nods in thought. Follow the call of your soul, sister. The Footfall Reliquary will be preserved, even without your contribution, as it was in all the years preceding your arrival. Hieronymus smiles sadly. I know what it is that calls you to follow the rogue trader, Sister Argenta. You seek combat, or helps you to forget how hollow and worthless our lives truly are. It offers the illusion of meaning. Perhaps you'll relinquish this illusion one day, or perhaps you'll die before that day comes. Regardless, I wish you luck on your new path. But before you start on a path toward your new destiny, I have a request to make of you and your companion. Many among my flock are from the poorest, most dispossessed people in Footfall. They brought me troubling news from Footfall's shadow quarters. In the darkest corners, where the Legion's wardens do not venture, paint has taken root. Footfall is consumed by profanity, but even here, true heresy, serving the archenemy, is a rarity. The cultists who now dwell in the shadow quarters mark their abodes with a sun inscribed in blue and gold, and perform strange rituals in secret. The weak find solace in believing these reports to be rumors, but I well know that evil lurks all around us, and I wish to see retribution. I come across heresy surprisingly often these days. Indeed, dark times are upon us, and wretched souls grow ever more eager to embrace heresy, both on Footfall and elsewhere, as foul buds are coming into bloom. Troubling news is arriving from many planets. There are whispers of wicked things taking place on Kiava Gamma, and just recently, a transport ship by the name of Navika, teeming with refugees, arrived on Footfall from Winterscale's realm. Their world is stricken with blasphemous sedition, and such was its severity, they had to flee to save themselves. The Legion refused to accept them, so they headed for Foulstone, a desolate cloister of the righteous. It was wise of them not to linger in this den of vileness. Why don't you go to the Liege with this matter? I do not walk the paths pleasing to the Liege. Hieronymus frowns. Ladame is weak and riddled with worms on the inside. He seeks to please his Casbalica masters, those peddlers of relics of the unholy Xenos. We will verify this rumor, Reverend Hieronymus. With great pleasure, Argenta lays a hand on her weapon. I must wish for the rumor to be true. My heart yearns to battle some heretics. This is where I bid you goodbye, sister. Noble Donnie Dawson. Is there more you wish to talk to me? Wish to ask me about? What are you doing on Footfall? What am I doing in this den of blasphemers, pagans, and the vilest of souls, you mean to say? Well, Footfall is the first and last stop in the Kronos Expanse. It is a point of arrival for those who have just started on their path, and it is also where those who are reaching its very end return, their souls wounded and bleeding. I embrace both the former and the latter, so that they may cast an honest eye over their impurity. Furthermore, rumors from across the entire sector amass on Footfall. If I hear crewmen whispering about a reclaimed shrine world or expressing desire to carry the Emperor's light into the darkness among the stars, I help my flock in their sacred duty. Devoted trailblazers need assistance both spiritual and material. Tools, equipment, even garments and simple everyday items. Anything that might help pilgrims on their long journey and during the first days of the harsh frontier life is worth the weight in gold to us. May any help you offered to the effort of gathering such things be blessed. The path of true believers leads into darkness, the search for worlds that have lost its radiance, steeped in depravity. Blessed are the deeds of those who give themselves into the void, and the warp in hopes that their actions might bring light to the darker reaches of the expanse, and deliver a previously barren world into the Imperium's service. Hieronymus is silent for a few seconds, and all the more bitter is the realization that not all brave souls will succeed in their mission. Footfall still awaits news from the Wasteland Wayfarer, an ancient ark of a ship headed for distant stars. Her last astropathic message was sent from beyond the Cinerus Maleficum, and the stars have kept her fate secret since. I bear another, darker duty. The expanse is filled with the tainted creations of unholy heretics. These insidious objects are a danger to the soul, but I know what to do with them. Should you on your travels come upon dangerous, corrupted objects, bring them to me, and the reward for your vigilance will be even more generous. The Drusian mission has much to share with the rogue trader. We move to our conversation to a place more befitting people of our rank. Why? For a missionary, his temple is a patch of deck beneath his feet. From where I stand, I can clearly see the life of my flock, all its bustling, blooming, and wilting. Here I can see their vile urges, futile hopes, and flashes of sincerity. I am in the habit of locking myself in a temple, but I have made it in time to intervene in the massacre of your subjects from Kiavagama. No. Truth resides not in golden halls, but here in the square, among the people. Golden halls are home to other, far filthier things. Let's take a look at what the followers of St. Drusus have to offer me. Let me see. Alright, some medikits. An Enforcer helmet. All targets of Taunting Scream suffer a -20 penalty to their willpower test against this ability. Onslaught. Imperial Scroll. The scroll grants the owner a +15 bonus to Lore Imperium. And Bloodhound Staff. The +10 willpower, +5 perception. Devastating. The first use of an attacking navigator power per turn does not set the power on cooldown, does not count toward the attack limit per turn. The second use of this power, or the use of a different attacking navigator power on the same turn, deals an additional +6 damage to all targets, and 6 direct damage to the navigator. Alright, so they like holy gifts, of course, jewelry, and ship components. Alright, an elite chainsword. Sanctified staff. Grants Emperor's Wrath. Plus 15 willpower and 10 fellowship. The wielder of this staff with a power level of 9 gains the Emperor's Wrath ability. The ability is also available in its Heroic and Desperate Measure versions. Sorry, Heroic Act, Desperate Measure versions. A power level affects the damage of this power. Using Emperor's Wrath grants the Psyker additional armor equal to the staff's power level until the start of the Psyker's next turn. It does not stack. Emperor's Wrath. Everyone adjacent to the target point suffers damage. Damage dealt by this attack to allies is reduced by the target's resolve. And Excruciator Maul. I just have more damage and armor penetration. So, this is pretty good. They're both pretty good. This is more combat focused, so I think I'm going to rock that. I think this is... The Early Beacon is a Vanguard ability, so I guess no one can use that. Lore Imperium, I think that is Cassia's whole thing. He has 40 currently, 45 of my main character. We'll throw it on somebody just because we have it. As for weapons... Yeah, that's basically double damage. We'll give this to... What's his name? Heinrichs. This obviously will go to Cassia. The Emperor protects. I have a question about faith. My sermon planted the seed of faith in the heart of another rogue trader once, Sendia Chorda. Perhaps you're destined to become my second fledgling. Tell me more about the Emperor. You think it is so easy to put into words his essence and splendor. The Emperor is the perfect deity that reads our hearts and grants us his light. He led humanity out of darkness and horror. He created our great home. He experienced torment and pain, which only made him stronger. It is a lesson to us all. Purity is not to be found at the bottom of the dirtiest hive or in golden palaces, only among the ranks of those who suffer. Argenta silently makes the sign of the Aquila, her bright eyes burning with unyielding flame. This priest speaks the truth as a wise spinner would. Cabela uses her blade to reopen a recently healed ritual wound on her hand. As we accept the undying one's blessings, so must we accept pain, for it brings us closer to him. Hieronymus looks at Cabela calmly, without the fear that you have seen in many. He says quietly, "A spinner of the blood-spun web. People have mentioned your cult to me in their confessions. My mission does not approve of your barbaric ways, too often cross the line. And yet we respect the depth of your devotion to him. What is the proper way to worship the Emperor? Pray to him, destroy his enemies, touch not their poisoned gifts. Cast aside all of doubt and be vigilant against the weak souls beside you. When you see a sign of taint, burn it away without pity. Pain is good. It tears the crust of honest from one's soul. And remember that if you see no fault in you or around you, then you're not being diligent enough in your search. Or you're being too lenient on yourself, averting your eyes from the truth." The Emperor's servants. Who are they? You speak of the Adeptus Ministorum. Well, these heralds of his word hold great power. Every priest, myself included, is part of its hierarchy, and the ecclesiarchy possesses the unique right to judge what is virtuous and what is malign. The Adeptus Ministorum prays and cares for the temples. It sends missions such as my own to every corner of the dominion of humanity. It fights against heresies. I imagine it is very advantageous for the ecclesiarchy to pose as a congregation of saints. Forgive me for not buying any of it. And rightly so. The ecclesiarchy harbors plenty of covetous and power-hungry recidivists. They've forgotten what it means to be a shepherd. They've grown soft and sluggish. For too long have their souls and bodies gone without suffering. Many would consider your remarks about the ecclesiarchy to be heretical. Many others would find them truthful. I'm a preacher of a radical teaching that renounces fear. I've left the bounds of the blessed Imperium to carry his light into the darkness of the frontier. I've come to know depravity firsthand, and am now able to perceive it under any guise. I think I can afford myself a modicum of truth. Who is the enemy of the Imperium? It has three faces. The inhuman Xenos who wish death upon us simply because they are unlike us. The pitiful subhuman mutants. Abominations that wish death upon us because they envy us and are ashamed of themselves. And the archenemy that reigns in the Immaterium, which wishes death upon us by its very nature. Adira starts giggling at Hieronymus's words. He forgot to mention people like me. My whole life people have told me I'm filth on the face of humanity. It's poison. It's bane. She stops abruptly with a sob. Tell me about Incendia Chorda. Have you heard of Aspis Chorda? A pirate, blasphemer, xenophile, and egregious apostate. Incendia is her heir, and a rarity among rogue traders. The protection of the Holy Warrant typically leads to the swift atrophy of conscience and pious dread, but not in Incendia's case. She relentlessly hunts down pirates and firebrands, and brings rebelling colonies to repentance, establishing strict discipline. The weight of her wrath is great indeed. The colonies she punishes are girded with orbital rings of heretic corpses as a warning to the survivors. As her personal confessor and guide, I find no end to the joy her triumphs and faith bring me. Since when is orchestrating massacres a sign of virtue? They aren't massacres. This is a war on apostasy and treason, and in this war, Incendia Chorda is inflicting grievous wounds upon the wicked. Now thank you for your explanations. Say nothing of it, young Von Valancius. Tell me about yourself. Neither my past nor my present hold any secrets, but take heed when gazing into my heart, for many dark thoughts lurk within. What is troubling your heart? Bad omens. Dark times have come. Ships from the Imperium barely appear in the Cronus Expanse anymore. In Footfall's shadow quarters, taint thrives, and the people here are corrupt enough to succumb to it gladly. Rumors around the Expanse say that the accursed Xenos have grown bold, and are rearing their heads. They attack ships and settlements, walk under the suns of Imperium worlds like kings instead of cowering in the shadows. What next? What adversities await us if such disgrace is happening already? He shakes his head sternly. There's more and more talk of how poorly things are going in the Expanse. Some days it seems like I can't take 2 steps without hearing some peasant pontificating on the matter. Even if it is as dire as they say, the Von Valancius realm will not crumble under the blows of fate, no matter how devastating. Chin up, Lord Captain. There's no time to lose heart and lament your lot. Not only is your hope false, it is also dangerous. Among his servants, there have been people of greater integrity who sullied themselves in their attempts to rise above the rest. Tell me more about the Drusians. We are a sanctioned imperial cult, which honors Saint Drusus, scourge of the Balechilder, bane of Xenos. Just as he once fearlessly ventured into the Calixtus sector, spearheaded its conquest, so do we travel to untamed reaches and expand the Imperium's borders. We are pilgrims and scouts who descend into the darkness of lawless sectors, and our eyes are inured to vice and filth. Just as Saint Drusus found his martyr's death and was reborn in faith, so do we search for the purifying power of trials and suffering. In the folds of his black robe, he produces a thin pamphlet. Read this. It contains the basics of our dogma. Perhaps you too will sense the truth in Saint Drusus's words. Read that right now. We'll interrupt our conversation. This thin pamphlet exudes a faint caustic smell, likely that of fresh inscriber ink. Reverend Hieronymus' teaching on the path of Saint Drusus. Our being is steeped in degradation, and no longer can we imagine existing outside it. Are you capable of perceiving the depths to which this heinous miasma has rooted itself in our lives? Pompous aristocrats indulge in despicable revelries, find their tall palace walls, and planetary masters vie to possess the greatest luxuries, while you and your family choke on your corpse-starch slop after a grueling work shift. Millions of soldiers die in the dirt to combat xenoprofanity, while their commanders, their duties forgotten, squabble among themselves, seeing every death as nothing more than a stone in the monument of their own glory. Scholars pursue forbidden and mind-twisting knowledge. The righteous break their oaths and spread lies. Arbites thieve worse than any criminal would, and you are sullied by vicious degeneracy of which you are not even aware. This pernicious rot is all-pervading, for there is none who have not succumbed to it. Does it frighten you to be in their midst, in our midst? Will you carry on calmly living in this impious loathsomeness, hiding your gaze from the world, holding the world from your gaze? Will you become like a mindless servitor? Will you honestly realize the sheer baseness and repulsiveness of creation? And then will you renounce your former life, and you will accept your new self, and relinquish your worldly affairs, and follow the road that was paved for us by Saint Drusus, warrior and conqueror of sectors uncharted? Leave behind the sacrilege-ridden world, and as is our immortal Emperor's will, join our sacred crusade to walk through a path that leads out of the murk of apostasy and irreverence, into the darkness of the unknown and unfathomed. It is in this darkness that we will light the candles of true faith, for only in their fires can we find motes of light. Who was Saint Drusus? He was a great saint, irrepressible and decisive. Drusus served the Emperor as a simple member of the Guard, who fought in the glorious Angevin Crusade, and rose to the rank of general. It was a grueling conquest. The Imperium invaded the Calixtus sector, then a savage expanse populated by Xenos and heretics. Drusus delivered many defeats unto the enemies of humanity. He brought down the twisted kings on acreage, liberated the planet Drea from the unholy dark demons, and had many triumphs. But then they encountered a race of unholy Xenos. Rivers of blood flowed. Golgana Angevin died in his headquarters. The crusade was about to crumble, but then received unexpected help from a foe. The Xenos sent their assassins to the great Drusus, but the Emperor's will shielded his servant from the attack. Slain but resurrected through a miracle, Drusus asserted himself at the head of the Angevin Crusade, as its Lord Militant, and saw the Xenos extermination through to the end. He brought the Calixtus sector to accord and was proclaimed a living saint. Funny, the story of St. Drusus you know is completely different. I've heard accounts that Drusus wasn't a guardsman, but an aristocrat, and it was contenders for Golgana's position who made an attempt on his life. But he didn't rise from the dead. The assassin just decided not to kill him. Hieronymus looks at you with a smirk. Well, of course you've heard that. But just consider for a moment whose words you're repeating right now. The one who put them into your head. Do they mean the Imperium well? Think on it. Who were you in the past? A wretched fiend. Blinded by my ambitions, I served in my home planet's Adeptus Administratum division. I was a shrewd and sly bureaucrat, and I soared to great heights. The very chair of prefect. In 30 years, I turned my home from a withered fringe colony into a prosperous world. Our wealth grew as we bloomed. But the bloom was a veneer for rot. Opulence had depraved us, and luxury had seduced us with its sordid promises. The planet's denizens no longer wished to pray or work. They only sought entertainment and dangerous philosophies. 1,000 vile heresies and 1,000,000 appalling vices bred on my world like mold on a Nutribar. In those days, I saw with my own eyes the shameless ugliness of the soul. I repented of my hubris. I left the position of prefect, became a traveling missionary. I have been one ever since. As for my world, 20 years later, the Holy Inquisition consigned it to purifying flames. Ah, so, now that you're sated with baseness, you think you can lecture people. He nods calmly. You're quite right. I'm a wicked, irredeemable scoundrel. Shall we embrace, brother? I have no more questions. I'm surprised that you had any to begin with. Let me grade this out real quick. Let's take my leave. The Emperor protects. Cool.
I always keep my options open.
Alright, I'm going to call it here, and next time, we'll attend a funeral. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.